So hello everyone, in this video I'll be discussing how you can add background properties in CSS. So what are some background properties that we can add, we'll see in this video. So in the last video we actually worked on some borders and border properties. In this video let's just start that background properties. So as you know that these are used for rounding the corners from the last video, and I've already created a box in the last video. Let me just change this heading to background, let's say. Now the first property, you already know that this background color property is used to add a background color in a normal container, let's say. So if I save this page, so it will not be rounded now. So now you can see the background color blue is there because I've added this color. Instead of this RGB format, you can add a hash code you want, or you can also name the color which you want in the background of that container. That you already know, right? If I increase the width, let's say 800, then that color will be filled to whole background. Now you can see that. So similarly, we can add different background properties. This one was for adding background color. The other one that I want to discuss is, so if I don't add anything, so what happens? Nothing is visible because the container is there, but there is no background in that container. So if I want any background image, let's say I have this image, taken7.jpg. If I want this image in the background, so how can I do that? So it is very easy. You just have to use background image property. This background image property allows us to add any background image in a container. So I can just write URL here, and in the URL you can specify the path of that image. If it is in the same directory where my CSS file is there, or if it is in the same directory where the HTML file is there, if I'm using the internal CSS, then you will be using the name and the extension of that image. If it is in the other directory, then you will name that directory, and then inside that you can go. So that's basically the file path you have to specify here. But in my case it is in the same directory, so I'll be just using this tekken7.jpg name. I can just write tekken7.jpg, or instead you can also write dot backslash if you want. So that will also be a good way. This is basically for relative path, so it will start from the current file location, not from the root direction. So let's do this way and see what happens in the background. So now you can see there is one background image applied to this container. Earlier it had a red color, so basically we added this background image here. Now one more thing that we have is, you can see the image is actually not purely completely visible to us. Only some part of the image is there. If you want the other part of the image, let's say if you want this top part or here, then you'll specify that. By default, any image you specify in the background takes the top left direction, or top left direction you can say. So it starts from the top left direction. But if I specify one more property, which is background position, then you can specify where you want to start, or which portion of the image you want in the background. So if I tell that I want top position, then it will start taking the top portion of the image, not the complete portion, but the portion which can consist in the container. So it is taking this top portion. If you want the bottom portion here, then you can specify that as well. So you can specify bottom here, then it will start taking the bottom portion. Now you can see that it is the bottom portion. And if you want the portion on the bottom right or a top right or top left is the default one, or you want a bottom left, then you can specify that as well. So you can specify I want the bottom right portion. So it will give you the bottom right portion. And if you specify bottom left, then it will give you the bottom left portion. Similarly, we have top left and the top right portion. Top left is the default one, and the top right as well. We also have the center portion as well, which takes the center portion of the image. Let's see that. So you can see it is the center portion of the image. So this is background position property. Then we have a background repeat property, which basically is used when an image is repeating or when the image is smaller. Let's say I have this logo, which is logo.webp. This is the Apple logo. If I want that in the background, so the logo image or the size of the logo is smaller than the container width and the height. So what I can do is I can specify, let's say I'm increasing the height. So the width and the height is increased now, but I want a logo.webp file, not the Taken 7. So if I do that, so now you can see the logo is there. I think the logo is a little bit larger. If I do it 100% and 100%, no, let me just give it some relative points. VW. Now you can see the logo is there, but it is actually repeating. Why is that? Because the width that I specified is larger than the area. Uh, this image is smaller actually. The background image is smaller and the container is larger. That's why to fill the container, it is actually repeating itself. So it can easily fit that. So I can also download a smaller image than that. So that will also be a good way. So if I crop this out, or let's use this one, you got my point, right? So it is repeating horizontally. If this was smaller, then it would repeat vertically as well. So you can control this behavior, like repeating behavior, you can control that by adding a background repeat property. If you add a background repeat property, so that will allow us to specify some values here. So if I specify no repeat, then it will not repeat in any direction. You can see it is only the single image. It is not repeating. And if I try to increase that, like let's say if I add a repeat X here, so it will repeat vertically, oh, X direction. So it is horizontally. X is X axis and Y is the vertical axis. So if I add Y here, so it will repeat vertically, not so, because the height is greater than or height is uh, fit to this 100 VH, that's why it is not repeating. So if I try to increase that to 200, maybe that will work. So it will repeat vertically now. So you can see that it is repeating vertically because height is larger than the height of this image. That's why. So that's why you can specify that. And if you add a repeat value, which is the default value, then it will repeat in the both the directions, like vertically and horizontally both. So it can repeat in both the directions. So this is the background repeat property. Then we have a background attachment property. For that, I'll not be using this. I'll be using a background image of Taken 7. and the JPG. Let's say I'm adding a container 200 VH and I'm adding a no repeat value here. So if I do that, so you can see the image is there. Let me just remove this center as well. And if I try to increase the content inside that, or I can use this outside, that will be a good idea. Let's use it inside. Yeah, I told you. So let me just use it inside and let me just decrease the value to 50. That will be good. So now you can see the background image is there, but for adding a scroll I have to make it outside, not in the inside. Otherwise you'll not get the difference actually what I wanted to show you. So let me just make it outside the box. So let's say this image is there, and if I scroll, so you can see the background image is there, but it is scrollable, like it is scrolling on the scroll. It is not fixed in the background. So for that particular reason, we can also use the background attachment property. We can use background attachment. In here, I can write fixed. So if I do that, so the background image will be fixed in the background. And if I try to scroll it, now you can see this kind of effect. You can confirm that, right? The background image is fixed, but the container is moving, right? So this kind of effect is called parallax effect or parallax scrolling effect. It is sometimes used in modern websites, so you can use this effect as well if you want. So this you can see, this kind of effect is applied by this fixed background attachment. And the scroll is the default one, so you can use the scroll. So it will scroll just like a normal image. Then we have a background. Let me just add a fixed here. Then we have a background size property. What this will do is the contain and the cover is the main value here. If I add a cover value, so it will try to fill the image, uh, try to fill the image, like how much can be filled inside this in this container. So this is the portion that can be filled inside this container. And if I try to add contain here, so it will try to show the complete image in that container. So it is not possible because the container is smaller. So if I try to use a different logo, let's say logo.webp, then you can see the difference. So you can see it is showing the part which can be fit inside this container. So it is the this part. And if I add a cover value here, so it will only grab that portion which can be filled inside the container. Now you can see this part is can be filled inside this container only. So we should always use the cover value, not the contain, but sometimes we need that. The contain value basically will try to show the complete image in the container if it's possible. Uh, Otherwise, it will show in the cover value, it will show only that part which can be filled completely or without any difficulty. It can be filled inside the container. This is what the cover and the contain value. So if I had the smaller image, Then if I want to show the complete image in the container, then I'll be using the contain value. If I have an image that is larger and I want only that part of the image that can be filled inside this container, then I'll be using the cover. So these are some property values I told you in this video. So I hope you got something. Background color is there, and I think I have removed one of that. Background position, I removed that. So these are some background values. You can use them. If you have some issues and problem, you can discuss in the comment. I'll definitely be jumping into that as well. So thank you for watching. Let's meet in the another one.